Magnus is currently up 4.43% win rate, and for good reason. And those reasons we're going to talk about in today's video. So if you're excited to learn about why Magnus is one of the best heroes of the patch currently, like the video, subscribe, and of course, click the link down below for our summer sale where you can get 50% off on a gameleap sub. I've been talking to a couple people in general about the gameleap website as of late. I'll even try to get some DMs for you guys, maybe put them up on screen at some point in a future video, but it's been going great. People are learning a lot. It's helping players get to the next rank very, very quickly. As long as they actually listen to me and apply the information, the gameleap website has been really just helping players skyrocket. So I hope you guys check it out. It's 50% off right now. Click the link down below, and now let's get into Magnus. Alright, so we're going to be following none other than Dendi. He's definitely known, or was known for his Magnus, especially at the time when he was still playing on Na'Vi. Not at his peak necessarily, but you guys know what I mean. If not, well, it doesn't really matter. Nonetheless, let's get into Magnus, and first off, I'm going to quickly discuss a couple reasons why he's good. I think bracers are very good for the hero early on. 6 damage, 1.5 HP regen when you have 2 of them. And Echo Saber is very good right now. Why? Because the item was buffed a little bit. Why do I say that? Well, Oblivion Staff was buffed. Right, this item was buffed, making Echo Saber a little bit better, and most importantly, Shadow Blade was buffed in quite a couple ways for Magnus, right? Because now you can buy this Blitz Knuckles, which is really good on Magnus if needed, right, early game, and it builds in combination with the Echo Saber into Silver Edge, which is a fantastic Magnus item. It's super good, 40 damage, 45 attack speed, 12 strength. And so what the build is generally is you go Echo Saber, Blink, BKB, Silver Edge, Daedalus, and this is about what you're going to go every single game. And yeah, so Magnus is good. Oh, one more thing, guys. The pace of Dota is slowing down, and I've been saying this a lot, but, it's definitely seemingly the case as we see him go for a god-tier skewer onto the Kunkka. But the pace of Dota is slowing down, right? So, noting this, something like Empower is better, right? Also, Magnus did receive quite a few changes. The hero received some buffs, which we'll go over quickly right now. So the changes that Magnus received were actually very, very good, especially now that I'm looking at it. So, Empower now is 32% at max instead of 25%, which is a 7% increase. Shockwave, the slow is increased by 15%, which definitely matters. And then Skewer, the cooldown, well, not and just, there's actually more. Skewer cooldown was reduced by 4 seconds at all levels. 4 seconds? That's a ton. That is so much. Skewer radius was increased by 10, which makes it easier to skewer people under tower in the laning stage, which we saw from the Kunkka there. And finally, his talents. Level 10 talent change from 15 attack speed to 20 damage, which is, I would say the 15 attack speed is good, right? But with Echo Saber, I think the damage is a little bit better. And at level 15, instead of shockwave damage plus 100, it's now plus 140. However, I think you'll generally be just taking 10 strength as you're going more of a right-clicking build. But yeah, pure buffs, and a lot of buffs. In fact, I almost feel like Magnus might have been the most buffed hero of the patch, other than Klings, who has been now nerfed, and Underlord, who has now been nerfed. So yeah, everything is just pointing to this hero being better. I think the meta favors this hero, which is, the pace of the game slowing down, right, as we talked about. Empower is now better, picking heroes like PL and Jug, and Wraith King and Anti-Mage, and what are the other heroes? TB, all these greedy heroes are doing better, right? Most of their win rates are increasing. And so, having a hero like Magnus only amplifies that, right? And it's not like Magnus is a detriment to your team. It's like, oh, you pick Empower and you just gotta hope you can greed it out. Magnus is sure, it's greedy, but it's not even like it's bad greed. You still have this giga-strong laner that farms ridiculously fast. And so yeah, I just think Magnus is in a ridiculously good spot. On top of that, let's look at insane outplay by Dendi here. This is absolutely top tier. But he hits level 3, and whenever you hit level 3, what you can do is actually shockwave people back into your tower. Now, you have 2 options. You can shockwave to pull them towards you and then skewer backwards, or you can skewer backwards and then shockwave them back into the tower, which slows them and pulls them back in the tower. Very strong. If you pull this off against any melee hero or against short-range ranged heroes, such as a TA or something like that, it's just free kills, right? It's free kills. It's not a hard thing to learn. You just gotta practice it a couple times in 1v1s or in games, and you'll get it down. Shockwave into Skewer or Skewer into Shockwave, and you're gonna pop off. The next thing I'd like to note is the fact that with 1 Bracer and at level 4 with 2 points in Empower, your hero has 100 damage. Actually more. Has 108 damage. And so yeah, it's just good. The next thing we're going to see from Dendi here is that he's going to stack the camp to his south at the 5 mark. You can see that he also wards the area to make it much easier to farm later on. But yeah, it's very important to just make stacks as Magnus in general. So the lane was getting a bit hard. Kunkka was getting to the point where he gets a bit annoying, so Dendy wants to jungle. Now, yes, this is a high MMR game, so the Kunkka wants to rotate over, but holy, that Doom just dumpstered that Kunkka. That was an absolutely insane Doom rotation. And then he's back to jungling. This is basically what Magnus does. Honestly, this is the reason why this hero is so good right now, and especially for solo queue. Like, if you're a mid laner and you're trying to play solo queue right now, and you just want a hero that has a straightforward formula that will reliably win games if you actually stick to it, Magnus is your hero. All you do is get level 5 and then jungle, right? And then when you're jungling, you tell your teammates, hey, if you need mid, take it. Like this level 2 shaman, he could tell, take mid, or level 3, right? Say, take mid, man. Or, you know, he can go back to it, farm it as well. That's the little bit of a greedier route, but it's still really good. And if you look at his net worth, he is easily going to be the highest in a little bit. He's not right now. We have this Giga Farm Doom who has 43 CS and a kill, as well as a maxed out Devour, so bit hard to compete with that. But you can see, with the jungling, you pick up an insane amount of neutral items for your team, which I think is a actually very important part of this meta. Having a hero that can quickly wipe through stacks and giving your team a quick neutral item advantage can actually take over the 7 to 9 minute mark. Well, more so like the 8 to 10 minute mark, considering it takes a little bit of time to ship the items out. But keep that in mind, guys. I think it's a very underlooked portion of Dota, which is caring about how early you get neutral items. Now, he makes his first rotation of the game, and yes, why does he do this? It's because he gets the haste rune. If he doesn't have a haste rune, he wouldn't do this. Keep that in mind, guys. Don't, like, run around the map and gank his Magnus. If he doesn't have an invis or a haste, or at minimum a DD, he should not rotate and likely would not rotate. And I think a lot of players mess this up. They're just like, oh, I'm Magnus, I have 1500 HP, I can just go RP and kill people. Yeah, that's fine, but you also could go get 4 neutral items, you could shove the mid wave to pressure in the mid tower, and clear every single camp in the span of less than a minute. So yeah, you have options, and just make sure you don't put too much of a priority on ganking. You're better off just forcing rotations to mid by shoving it in. Upcoming here, I just want to show a bit of an efficiency play by Dendy. He was farming this camp at around the 9 minute and 50 second mark, and when the last creep that he had to kill was not going to die in time for the spawn timer, he brings it out. Maybe it's basic for a lot of you guys, but I think it's one of those plays that most people just simply forget, only because it can be a bit weird to do. Like, just basically deciding, hey, you know, I'm not going to kill this in time, I need to back out, reset, and kill it later on. But you can see he's putting a huge emphasis on farming here, which is going to get him approximately an 11 minute Echo Saber. He is farming currently with 250 HP, but this is totally okay because he assumes that the enemy team is all mid. And yeah, that's how you get an 11 minute Echo Saber on Magnus. Now, sure, he does have 2 kills, which makes it a bit easier, right? But I think even without 2 kills, you could easily get this item at 12 minutes. No problem whatsoever. And if you can't, it means you're doing things wrong. You're either last hitting bad in lane, your efficiency's poor, maybe you're not pushing in mid-wave before jungling, and so on and so on. The next play that Dendy makes is once again based off a haste rune, and while this is very lucky, it just goes to show how pros, they very much play around patterns, right? They have a purpose for what they do. So I don't think Dendy would be running around the map doing these shenanigans if he doesn't have a haste. So he snipes a courier, goes on the Lich, and RPs him. Why? Because he doesn't want the Lich to get off Frost Shield. That might sound like weird, right? Oh, you don't want Lich to get off Frost Shield? Well, yeah, you straight up don't want him to get off Frost Shield because then the enemy team will TP in, you'll get X'd, and potentially die. So it's fine to do that. A lot of players are afraid to do that. They'll never ever consider solo RPing a support, but the goal here is to get huge and to force rotations, and if that's not what Dendy just did, I don't know what is. Look at the map right now. Look at where their team is. 2 of their cores are mid. Now sure, the Leshrac was kind of around mid and Centaur's walking back to base, but you guys get the point, right? That's how you force rotations in Dota, and that's why solo killing supports is fine. Because even if it doesn't necessarily give the biggest swing, right? Even if it's not the biggest swing, it forces rotations, which in turn creates a bigger swing and creates space for his win condition, which is likely this PL. And now you remember how I talked about guys like, oh, Dendy will, you know, he'll eventually become top net worth even though the Doom had a good start. This is what I mean. All of a sudden, 13 minutes in here and he is 1,000 gold up. So imagine if you're playing in a 2k3 MMR game. If you follow this pattern and you study, like guys, if you really want to gain MMR, do what I'm about to say. I'm going to give you the formula to gain MMR right now. If you stick to it, I genuinely believe you'll gain MMR no matter what. Go watch a Magnus replay after watching this video. I know it's like, oh, speed. All right, can I just watch this video? You could, right? You could, but I'm giving you more sort of the foundation, right? I'm giving you the foundation, the guidelines. What you really then want to do if you're going to full commit to this is study it. The goal of my videos is to inspire you guys to look into things and understand the baselines of why heroes are good, right? Do I give advanced tips? Yeah, I do, of course. And I will later on, like the Shockwave and Skewer tips. But follow this formula. Number 1, go watch a replay. Study exactly how well they last it. Study when they go kill the side camps, what items they buy, in what order, how much regen they purchase. Every little thing that makes them win the laning stage, how much creep aggro they pull. Right? Knock that out. Then focus on how long they farm for. Really pay attention to approximately how long they farm for, how much they fight, how much they farm. Try to master that balance. And then, all of a sudden, you will be top net worth. And rinse, repeat this. Play 3 to 5 Magnus games in a row. And regardless of matchup, if you understand what you are doing properly, and you are playing the lane correct, if you are 1 or 0 to 4k MMR, and you play the lane properly with good creep aggro and buying the proper regen and skilling correctly, you'll have no problem being top net worth every single game. And that's such a great way to look at Magnus right now. But nonetheless, let's skip ahead. A little bit more split pushing, as we've seen. Dendi obviously likes to put a major priority on split pushing so he can get a 14-minute Blink Echo Saber, which is a ridiculous time for the majority of heroes in Dota. There's not a lot of heroes that can do this. The only one I can think of is maybe Alk. Maybe Alk. Not even guaranteed. Maybe Alk. As you can see, now he's going to look for a play on mid. He obviously wants to hide his Blink here. Not particularly interested on going on the Centaur, but I think he might tell the clock to go just to bait in the enemy team. We'll have to see. Okay, no, he ends up just going for a skewer play under tower, which it seems like they'll end up getting. Nice little play. Blink skewer, being able to save the RP. It's good to do that anytime the enemy team is pushing one of your towers, which is not necessarily rushing the RP, going for a skewer onto a single target and bait the enemy team in. Imagine if you do that when they're under tower, right? The enemy team's under tower, you skewer 1 deep, then they dive your tower, it's basically a guaranteed 1 fight. And really what I like about Dendi's gameplay, that I think everyone needs to try to emulate, is that he doesn't get caught up in engagements. So he was recently just mid, and he had no problem leaving, right? A couple seconds later, he just left. There was no issue at all within his thought process to say, okay, the fight isn't developing that quick, I'm going to immediately go back to bottom, right? Bottom is safe, I'll go bottom. Then, once again, they dive mid, he's considering TPing, doesn't end up going. I think he probably could have fought that. I'm a bit surprised they actually decided not to. Maybe mid tower is just too low in their opinion. But yeah, this is kind of his game plan, right? Shove in the side lanes, get huge. And it works. You'll see that it works. I mean, he's obviously going to be the one to carry this game. Also, I would like to note that he's not putting too much of a priority on actually empowering his carry. I don't necessarily fully agree with this. However, in solo queue, I do, right? I hope you guys kind of see where I'm coming from with that, where in a team game mode, maybe if you have a PL, you want to put a little bit more of an emphasis on giving him Empower here and there. But honestly, ever since they changed Empower where it just doubles on Magnus, it's generally better to play this hero as a greedy solo carry than this like supportish type of hero. Alright, so skipping ahead here towards the 32-minute mark, I know we're very far ahead. I just have a couple things to note. Number 1, Paladin Sword, very, very good Magnus item. You can see he has his Silver Edge, he has his BKB, and now he's going to the data list. The only thing I disagree with here is that I don't personally feel like Demon Edge is better than having mini crit. I think he did it out of convenience though, he just happened to be close to the secret shot. But nonetheless, yeah, I generally wouldn't consider going in that order. However, we're going to look into a very, very well-played fight by Denny here that shows off some very good decision-making on Magnus. So, he sees the Leshrac walking up here, so he's going to wait for the Leshrac to come up. Goes on him, right, pops him twice, refreshes his Empower. Really good attention to detail. His Empower was about to run out. They secure that kill, and he actually instantly RPs the Kunkka. Now, I do think maybe he could have waited a second and went for a 2-man RP here. That probably would have been a little bit better, but it's fine to solo RP people, especially if it's like a key core that you think you'll secure to kill on by RPing. Does that make sense, guys? Let's say there's a PA who has a Deso, a BKB, and a Battle Fury. If you can RP her alone, just do it, right, before she gets her BKB off. Because very often then you'll be able to kill her in that duration with the help of your team, especially if you learn how to skewer her in. So keep that in mind, guys, right? Don't be afraid to solo RP important cores. Now in this case, the Kunkka is doomed, so it prevents him from disengaging, and then a really nice skewer where he pushes the Kunkka into the Lich and cleaves them both down. Very, very heads-up skewer. And funny enough, that's exactly where the game ends, and that's the cool thing about Magnus, where your hero kind of just amps up the entirety of your team. And I would like to point out a couple more things that I like about their strategy and things that I don't. So the one thing I don't love about this team comp that they have here is their lack of D-shove on the supports. I think whenever you pick Magnus, you want to have some sort of a Rubik or a Grimstroken a lot of the times. Only because if you don't, you sometimes can get run over. Sometimes. Depends on how your lane goes. You know, I'm not a huge fan of the Shaman. It can be okay with Magnus and lane, but... And the second thing I actually want to note is that I absolutely love this Doom with the Magnus. Sure, it does make you a little bit cooldown reliant, which could be a problem, but other than that, Magnus at this current space and time doesn't want to be the aura buyer, right? So having some sort of aura buyer is still important. What are the important orders, you might ask? Well, here they are. Drums, Vlad's, AC, right? In my opinion, these are the most important auras to have right now. I think they are the best auras. You could argue like Pipe is still good. Sure, it's been nerfed a lot, but having this sort of hero with a Magnus draft is good, because when you pick Magnus, you're going to be primarily focused on having right clickers, such as your PLs, your Jugs, your PAs, right? And having a Doom to buff that up, or to frontline so that they can get off good initiations, is crucial. Doom really enables Magnus even to get good RPs, because the Doom can frontline, which baits people together. All in all, it's a great combo to have. You know, there's a lot of heroes that can act as this Doom sort of hero. It can be a Centaur, it could be a Mars. There's quite a few. I just think they are very important to have. Don't rely on Magnus as your sole initiator. Even Clockwork is quite good for this purpose. And yeah, that's actually where the game ends. Just one good fight, and they shred the enemy team base. And that's what Magnus does right now with the help of the Vlads. Your PL will do an absurd amount of damage, and that's about it. Now, this wasn't the cleanest game from Dendy. I know I didn't show you guys, like, the deaths. The reason why I didn't is I just want to show off the core fundamentals of why this hero does well, right? I want you guys now to go discover exactly how fast you can farm and knock out the timings. If you aren't getting it, you aren't good enough. I know that can be harsh to hear, but I think it's a great reality that if you can accept, you're going to gain MMR faster. The other things are, you know, the spell casting that I showed. Don't be afraid to go for one-man RPs with this build. This current Magnus, what it can do very, very well is bursting relatively squishy cores or relatively squishy heroes. If you can get a 1-2-man RP on heroes you can just insta-kill, then it's an absolutely fantastic way to start the fight that more players should absolutely be looking into. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions about Magnus, you just leave them in the comment section down below. I'll do my best to reply. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Hey guys, do you also want more content from me and other gameleap creators that are gonna help you get to the next rank easily? Well, 50% off right now is the deal we can offer. Alright, 50% off. As long as you click the link down below, you're gonna get that part of our summer sale. Right, just go over there. You're gonna see the 50% off. Sign up. It's an incredible deal. I've been putting in more work than ever on this website. I think the content is going to help you guys get to the next level faster than ever. And yeah, I hope to see you there. If you're unsure about it, hey, message me on Discord, say, Speed, why should I sign up for the gameleap website? I swear I know a lot of you guys just troll me about this, but nah, ask me, I'll talk to you. Go sign up for the website. It's a blast, and we're going to have a good time this summer.